Councilmember Harrington, not here. Councilmember Matheson.
Here.
Were you able to take a look at the minutes from the 16th and the 30th?
Yes.
Great. Anything,
No.
comments? Okay, so we'll approve those. And I would just like to say, I want to start the meeting actually today by saying we got another email from Councilmember Harrington regarding an item on our list for today that was also heard in the negotiations committee. And I just want to say that as chair of finance, the negotiations committee and the overlap with finance seems to have led to some miscommunication and I think less efficiency and less clarity for the public around where things reside and where they belong. And I'm hoping that we can ideally increase communication and increase clarity. And I'll be bringing this up at our council meeting on Tuesday. So just to kind of speak to some emails that we've received around, you know, which item goes where and who will oversee the discussion. I would like to hopefully gain some clarity at our meeting with the mayor on Tuesday. So I just wanted to put that forward because I think there's just been a lot of back and forth
This is the
around it.
police scheduling?
That was one item, yeah. There's been other items as well that council members have raised around its placement and items placement within our committee, within finance. And so I would just like the mayor to clarify exactly what is the negotiation committee about. I think there's not clarity about that.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Which committee has the power to bring things to council?
Well, that, I mean, finance, obviously,
Right.
right? So I don't know about negotiations. And I think that's the question for the mayor as well. Okay, so with that, I would just like to then address our topics. We've got about, looks like close to half a dozen appointments. So we can get started with the first appointment is to the Board of Electrical Examiners, and that is for Austin Ranieri. And because the required qualifications ask that a member be a master electrician licensed, that I assume is the role that Mr. Ranieri would play.
I would refer to Ziegler, is he a master electrician?
He is a master electrician currently in good state.
So he helps fulfill that.
Yes.
Great, okay. Any questions? That was my one question. Okay, so we can move that to consent. The next appointment is for the Airport Commission, and that is for Cheyenne Gable. Shane Gable? Shane. Yeah, I added a couple of little. Any questions about this? This is a reappointment. No? Okay, so we can move on, move that to consent.
I have a question
Oh, yeah.
about the airport commission. Is that full now?
I believe so.
It is.
Yeah, this is just a reappointment that he had filled a partial term
Mhm.
since last fall, I believe, end of last fall.
Well, there had been, the chair had left for health reasons, and so it's a full commission.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next appointment is for the Landmarks and Historic Preservation Commission. And that is for Dara Brady. Any questions about that? And the next appointment is also for the Landmarks and Historic Preservation Commission. So together, there's Robert Brazanowski. Any questions about those two?
Brzezowski.
Brzezowski. That's what I said, didn't it? Brzezowski. I added another addition to his name, another couple vowels. Okay, so we can move those to the consent if there's no further questions, and then we can look at the Environmental Board. This is a reappointment for Brian Collins. Okay. We can move that to consent as well, and then our last is the Civil Service Commission. This is a reappointment for Jane Miller. Okay. Great. We move all those without any other questions or comments, move all those to the consent. And then, so our first item is about the MOA for the Police Benevolence Association.
Right, there were two MLAs, technically. We have a PBA, police sergeants, they're separate unions. This MOA is essentially the same for each of them. Or separate units, so you would need an MOA for each. This would temporarily change the patrol division, we call it patrol division, so officers assigned to the patrol as opposed to the detectives division for administrative work would be shifting temporarily, and this would run through the end of the year with an option to terminate it, by either party. If it's not working out as hoped over the summer, we would be able to terminate it at the end of the summer. The intent is to allow essentially 12-hour shifts. So we work a 2-week pay period. Let's say on your crew, you might work 3 12-hour shifts the first week, and then the second week you would work 3 12-hour shifts and 1 8-hour shift. So adding that up, that's 40 hours or 80 hours over that 2-week pay period, which is the same as what they work now. Now they just work 5 days. Aside from any other special assignments like a special event or something like that. This was brought forth by the unions. They requested it, a discussion about it, and they believe it'll lead to better work-life balance, hopefully improving recruitment and retention if it works out long-term. Meeting with HR and with the police chief and lieutenant, everyone and myself as well are supportive of giving this a shot. They did try this, the police did 15 years ago, a little bit different scenario. It was constructed a little bit differently. It wasn't well-liked at the time enough to keep it, make it permanent. They tried it for a period of months. I'm not sure how long it was. I wasn't involved then. I went back. But the group that's there now would like to try it again, a little bit different. How it would be structured this time, and if it goes well, then it could potentially be something we negotiate as a full contract, permanent contract. But for now, as an MOA, it would sunset at the end of the year unless we decide to extend it further. And again, if you look, it says September 7th, we could terminate it. The reason it's September 7th, that's the end of the payroll. So if we try it out this summer and it's not really going well for either party, we could just give our notice, or they could give notice if they don't want to continue it. We would revert back to the 5-day schedule. I'm not sure if Dave Porter, you're here, if you have anything you wanted to add. I mean, we've looked at this from a payroll perspective, and it should be a transition we can make.
Yep, the payroll team and I spent some time troubleshooting this with our payroll system. It looked like everything's working fine. We utilized a test employee and was able to go through and I let them throw a bunch of different, monkey wrenches into the system to see if they could break it, and it seems like everything's working fairly well, but with very minimal changes to our payroll calculations, we'll be able to accomplish this.
I have a question about 12 hours is a pretty long shift, and you don't want very tired police officers on the job, and if something happens, an emergency towards the end of the shift, do they have enough energy to take care of it? That would be my question.
Yeah, I mean, they believe they would. There are instances now where they're held over longer than their 8-hour shift for whatever reason. There's something going on at the end, there's an arrest or involvement where they have to stay later. You could have a similar circumstance here where they might stay longer than 12 hours. So that's something that the chief did discuss with the unions about as a potential concern. I think that's one thing that we'll evaluate. A few months into this, we'll have some good data on some good feedback from everybody involved as to whether that's become an issue or how that's been mitigated. But I think that's something that everyone involved seems willing to try, and I think we just have to see how it goes and report back.
I've worked like 12 and also 14-hour shifts, and I wasn't at my best after like 10 hours. So I don't know if somebody's, the cops have special duties and they carry weapons, I don't know. Is that a concern? I'm just asking. I don't know if it is or not, but that's what struck me as a potential problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're looking at this as having maybe more of a break in between. It's not directly addressing your concern, but in their perspective, the net effect they expect to be a benefit that may not be the case. They may find that issue you're mentioning might become more of an issue than they expected, and that might be a reason why we would end it early. But again, it's hard to speculate until we see how they actually, how it actually goes.
I just don't want to see a tragedy.
Yeah, of course.
I will add too, that this is a schedule that is used by other police agencies, so it's not like we're kind of going to just find without being able, the union bringing this forward. They have friends across other police agencies that work these shifts and stuff like this, and I think they're going with eyes wide open and kind of have vetted it with other folks that do work these types of schedules, including state police works a similar schedule. I know Broome County, which we have a lot of, because all of our folks basically went to Broome County Academy, a lot of them have contacts still with Broome County, so I think that that's another one that they probably had some good contact with too. So, the fact that it did come from the union and the fact that they have had those conversations, and they do seem like they're going in with that as something that they're gonna watch for. Yeah.
So it goes until the contract, this agreement is from June until end of December. And upon that, the change will be from 27 onwards. If it works out, if it's successful, then they'll just move forward with, in 27,
Yeah,
the same arrangement.
if this was going well through the end of this year, we'd bring back an extension of the MOA for some period of time, probably through the end of 2027. It should also be noted that the PBA contract is currently expiring at the end of this year, and the sergeant's contract expires at the end of 2027. So we will, as this goes forward, we'll see this by the time we get to this fall, whether it's something we want to try to negotiate into the PBA contract, and potentially the sergeant's contract, or do a one-year extension on the PBA, do them both together. We have options to consider, but we've got some time before we know.
So what is the evaluation going to look like in terms of the success of, like, how will we know, and how will the police force know that this is working? Will they just get feedback from officers that are doing this?
We talked about scheduling a meeting probably toward the end of July, because that would give us a chance to understand if it's something that definitely is not working, and either party or both of us would like to end it, then we can provide the 30 days notice and end it as of September 7th. But at that time, I think there's going to be anecdotal feedback from the officers and the police chief and lieutenant and others as to how's it going. Do they feel this is working out the way they expect it to? As far as data, we can look at things like number of overtime hours compared to previous years. Maybe there is a difference there, maybe not. I'm not sure how that might work out. We'll certainly look at it from a financial perspective. If we feel that it's driving more overtime for some reason, that's not something we anticipate, but we'll look at kind of everything from this June and July compared to last year and maybe the year before, and see if there are any noticeable trends, as well as the anecdotal feedback. Certainly any payroll issues will present themselves in for payroll probably, and we'll smooth those out, but we don't anticipate the issues.
Okay. Often if there's a new procedure, it's also, it's helpful to have some sort of rubric or some kind of formal process through which you can understand it's working or not. I mean, obviously, so it'd be interesting to see. Don, did you have any other?
No, the only thing I'd recommend is that it be on the discussion agenda, so if the council members have any questions, they can be addressed.
Well, there was a request put by Councilmember Harrington for that.
Right, I
Yes.
saw that.
Yes. It seems, given that this is a MOA, that we could have a broader discussion as a council, keeping in mind that this is a temporary agreement. Okay. Is there anything else
Oh, no,
as committee member? Okay.
no, that's it.
Okay. All right, so we can move back to discussion. And our next item will be the Community Development Program, CDBG. And this is for the public hearing. Just an announcement of the public hearing,
Yeah, so
next meeting.
we need, for the 2026 program year, we need to do a public hearing in advance of submitting any applications. So we're doing it now
Mhm.
and see if things come up, so I don't know if we're applying for that or not. This allows us to apply.
Okay. And
So it's a $250,000 state grant to make beer.
That'll be the next one we talk about.
I didn't hear that.
That'll be the next one that we talk about
Oh, that was,
that's our next item.
in more detail.
Yeah.
so they're related, aren't they?
Exactly.
They are.
Yeah.
The public hearing is for any kind of community development block grant applications. And then the next one we'll talk about, I can get into it if you want, is, we need an authorizing resolution to submit the application for the Hill City Brewing.
But before we can take that, I just had a quick question about the program overall, the CDBG program. Is that a federal program that's been, if I recall, is there a problem with that program now in terms of its longevity? Is it not being funded?
Well, it wasn't originally in the federal budget, so it's a federal program, but it comes down to the state. The state administers it. It used to be the federal government administered it, and years ago they switched it. So it wasn't in the big beautiful bill, but apparently in negotiations, some parts of it, CDBG got put back in. So right now, there is a program, the state has reopened up the program for this year. I don't know what the future of it is, but I know right now it's there,
It's there.
and we're tapping into
Okay.
it. No pun intended, because it's gonna be for a time.
Right,
Tapping.
for a brewery.
Yes.
Okay, so that was my question just about the first item about the grant program itself.
It's there now, yeah, it's in place now.
Great, so why don't we just put the public hearing notice, we'll put that on the consent agenda, right, or we just do it, I guess.
Just do it.
Right, we don't even need to move it anywhere, it just shows up. Okay, so then we can move on. Don, did you have a question about the actual grant itself?
No,
For the
it's just,
for the brewery.
it seems like, who knew you could get a grant to make beer? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
It's economic development.
Yeah.
It's creating jobs.
In fact, I think the state New York State in particular has been quite supportive of local
They have
breweries. Yeah,
Wine and beer and
Yeah.
cider.
yeah.
It's a boon for any community to have a business like that. So this one's on Chestnut. This particular grant is gonna be so that they can expand. And this is gonna be paying for equipment costs and working capital for their new tap room. The brewery part, the making beer part, they already did. They've already worked on that themselves, so this will be the,
So this is the retail part of it?
yeah, well, yes. I think eventually they'll have like what Home Gang has with a shop and everything, but this one is for the beer tasting and food and all of that.
Super.
So right now, our consultant is working on the pre-application.
I'm gonna turn that off.
I think that's yours.
It is.
We're on Chestnut.
Then I'll call you back.
Out towards-
It's in the dress factory.
Oh, down there. Like a question mix.
No, over
Way past,
over
way
like,
past.
the last house, the last building before you go into town.
Catalog outlet.
When McDonald's used to be.
Yeah, it's by that
Catalog outlet.
Catalog outlet.
sub place in the north.
It's all empty now.
Jenny, when we were growing up, was the only dress factory, so it's like at that intersection.
So,
Was it a dress factory?
Yeah.
So this is the grant program itself is in two parts. So there's a pre-application, and then you send that to the state, and then they invite you in for an application. We've already discussed it with the state, they're very interested in it. So our consultant's working on the pre-app that is gonna go in at any time now. And then once we have this and we get the invite in, we'll be ready to go with the complete application. So it should happen pretty quickly.
Okay. Are there any details about who Hill City Brewing is?
They came from Brooklyn. Right? They moved their operation up here, bought the building, and are renovating the building, and
Is this the place on Chestnut Street?
Great. Any other
No.
comments, observations? Okay. So it'll be 2 years from the application,
once they get an award,
once the grant is
once the grant
presumably.
is awarded,
Mhm.
there'll be a grant agreement, and the grant is typically 2 years from the date of that grant, they're gonna be,
Okay.
once, we'll know the exact date once we get the grant agreement.
And is that what their projected project deadline is, about 2 years? Is that what or are they
Well-
thinking faster than that?
I don't know. They know there's a 2-year,
They have that limit?
yeah, but I don't know what their time.
Uh-huh.
It's within that 2 years, I don't know any more details than that.
Uh-huh. Are they applying for other kinds of grants, or is this the main?
They had applied for grants, in the past, they have a grant writer of their own. I'm not sure what grants they got for the prior work that they've done. And then this is like, I'm pretty sure they call this their phase 2. So I don't actually know what other grants they got, 'cause I don't need to know that for this, because it's
Right.
kind of standalone.
It's just its own thing, yeah.
But they did invest in the building, they invested in the renovation, so it's that's good for the city.
Yeah, that's great.
Good for that area,
Yes, and for that area in particular.
especially with my river right down the street.
That's right.
It's a good blend.
Great, okay. Okay, I have no further questions about that. I think we could move that application and grant approval to the consent agenda. And that is our final item for the meeting. So, if there's nothing else,